Hey everyone, it's Emma Vigling with TYT Politics, going over another Trump cabinet pick, and what do you know, he's a little swampy. I thought we were draining the swamp. Nope, not anymore. Tom Price, Trump's pick to run Health and Human Services. He has a confirmation hearing that is actually going to be tomorrow, so I wanted to give you an update on the ongoing ethics implications of what's going on with Tom Price. He's a representative from Georgia and has been one of the most vocal opponents of the Affordable Care Act in the House since the ACA was created, since its inception. So, in the theme of Trump's picks, let's pick someone to run an agency, put someone into power to run an agency that's purpose they hate and they want to destroy from the inside. So, yippee! Yay! Tom Price is going to destroy all of our health and human services. Wahoo! Price has voted time and time again to gut Medicare and Medicaid, despite the fact that Trump says that he is not going to. No one really seems to believe that. He's advocated converting Medicaid into block grants to the states, more specifically on the content of his vote. Price also wants Medicaid recipients to meet work requirements if they're able-bodied. Thank you for being so kind. And he also was one of the biggest proponents for a voucher program for Medicare, which is likely what the Republicans are going to propose for Donald Trump. And if Trump signs it when it comes across his desk, we shall see. But it's basically a sexual act for insurance companies, and even more so than the Affordable Care Act, which was quite friendly to them, in fact. So, additionally, about Tom Price, for us women out there, not great news, as we would expect. He opposed mandatory contraception coverage for businesses that cite religious objections. He was in the news in 2012, very infamously, for saying that not one woman in the country could not afford birth control. Not one woman in the country. There was not one woman in the country who can't afford birth control. I beg to differ. That's why Planned Parenthood services are often so sought out, but you want to gut them and will in the next 2 years at the very least, with a Republican-controlled House, Senate, and presidency. Lovely for women everywhere. But let's get a little bit into Price's sketchiness. So, Price's objection to any healthcare reform isn't purely ideological. Of course, everything in the American government, follow the money, follow the money. We have legalized corruption in the United States, so like most things in this swampy, corrupt government, there's money to follow when it comes to Price. So I will read from Salon for a little, because they have been going into detail about these corruption issues. President-elect Donald Trump's choice for Secretary of Health and Human Services, Tom Price of Georgia, introduced legislation last year that would help a biotech company only days after he purchased stock in it. This is third world country-esque corruption. Less than a week after buying between $1,001 and $15,000 of shares in Zimmer Biomet, Price introduced a bill known as the HIP Act. Its objective was to delay until 2018 a Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services regulation that would have impacted payments for the knee and hip implants in which the corporation specializes, CNN reported on Monday. Zimmer Biomet's Political Action Committee subsequently made a donation to Price's re-election campaign. This is just how things go. So he wanted to delay a Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services for a regulation that would have impacted payments for the specific knee and hip replacements that are made by a company that he just invested in. And they rewarded him by donating to his campaign. So not only was he financially enriched by this delay and by this vote, or he would have been, the donation was made to his campaign to financially benefit and to benefit his re-election efforts. That is the revolving door that we're talking about, but that's almost too blatant. That's almost absurdly blatant. So blatant, in fact, that Public Citizen actually, on January 5th, sent a letter to Congress and to the SEC and to the Office of Congressional Ethics, asking them to look into Price's investment in this area and this immense corruption, at least as it appears to be on its surface. So Public Citizen sends a letter to the Office of Congressional Ethics, which is what the Republicans just tried to gut and abandon it after there was immense public pressure and outrage over the fact that the Republicans wanted to do away with the Office of Congressional Ethics, in essence. Hilarious. Do they not think that sounds nuts and that's a bad political move? But as always, they think that they can slip it underneath everybody's view, but it's a new day in American politics. We are awake. So they sent a letter to Office of Congressional Ethics and to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, asking them to look more closely at the stock activity of Representatives Price and Chris Collins of New York for conflicts of interest and insider trading, maybe. So, according to the letter, it says, since 2009, according to Congressional Financial Disclosure Reports, Price has conducted over 630 trades on the stock market, many of which involve the pharmaceutical and healthcare sectors that he oversees as chair of the U.S. Representatives Budget Committee and as a member of the House Ways and Means Subcommittee on Health. Has he received donations from companies that would potentially have interest in said industries, pharmaceutical and health? His top 20 contributors to his campaign committee in 2016, in the top 5, 4 of them are in the health and pharmaceutical industry. Mimidex Group, Resurgence Orthopedics, Peachtree Orthopedics, and American Medical Association. I wonder why he's getting those donations. Could it be that he's lining everyone's pockets? Gimme, gimme, gimme? Could it be? Of course it is. But that's just par for the course. And what makes it even more blatant is that he's investing, potentially, his own money into those companies. And getting a direct profit, not just to his campaign committee and not just to his re-election efforts. That's just normal in America right now. But into his own pockets. This is from another Salon article on what Price was doing, elaborating. Price owns significant stock shares in several companies with businesses before the federal regulatory agency he is set to run. A Wall Street Journal review of Price's stock trades also found hundreds of thousands of dollars in transactions that involved health sector companies. The Journal alleged Price traded more than $300,000 in shares of health-related companies during his time in Congress, all while sponsoring and advocating legislation that potentially could affect those companies' stocks. I wonder if he'll do that in his cabinet position. Several of Price's top campaign contributors are medical companies. As HHS Secretary, Price would have direct influence over crucial regulatory and approval decisions impacting the donors that have funded his political career. America Democracy 101. Price's top contributor, Mimidex, as I mentioned before, a Georgia-based medical company that makes regenerative wound care products, is currently locked in a debate with the FDA over how the agency should regulate its products, Roll Call reported. The agency could impose marketing restrictions or even force Mimidex to halt sales that make up 12% of its revenue last year. And possibly Mimidex, this is like a weird pronunciation, but all these drug companies and stuff have weird names. A possibility Mimidex warns its investors about in a recent regulatory filing. Mimidex donated $21,800 this cycle to Price's campaign funds, according to Open Secrets, which I just read to you. So, clearly, there's going to be massive conflicts of interest if he does get approved, which I expect he will, in a Republican-controlled Congress. And the Democrats are too really spineless to stand up to this kind of corruption, because you know what? They're a little bit corrupt too. Last point on this. Is there anything more disgusting than delaying a certain center so your campaign contributor and your stock will go up? So you can avoid a regulation on a hip replacement piece that involves the company that you have invested in and that has invested in your campaign. Is there anything grosser? I don't know. Is there anything grosser? Maybe the statements that Donald Trump made on videotape. I don't love listening to that tape with Billy Bush either. That's pretty gross. But in terms of corruption, this is pretty nasty. So, alright guys, have a great day.